What do Taylor Swift and Sylvia Plath have in common? A new book offers an answer. The problem with intellectual fashion is that you can fall out of it so easily. For Maggie Nelson, whose much-praised 2015 memoir, The Argonauts, captured a particular flavor of highly personal/political writing in the mid-2010s, such shifts must be disorienting. In The Argonauts, Nelson wrote in detail about her relationship with a transgender man at a time when the topic was relatively unexplored in literary nonfiction. The book also recounted Nelson's struggles to conceive a child using in vitro fertilization and the birth of her son at a time when highbrow books about writers reconciling art with motherhood. Jenny Offill's Department of Speculation, Rachel Cusk's Transit, were the rage. Nelson was frank, idealistic, and decidedly earnest, a trait she shared with, say, Lin-Manuel Miranda, a figure adulated during the same period who suddenly and drastically became cringe as the Obama years lurched into the Trump era. It's impossible not to recall 2015 when reading Nelson's latest, The Slicks, a very slim volume, more of a long essay really about Taylor Swift and Sylvia Plath. In essence, the book argues that both Swift and Plath have been stigmatized for being excessive, for producing too much work that is too much about themselves and wanting too much acclaim for it, qualities that Nelson maintains are unfairly reviled in women artists. She complains that both women have been subject to the same script that has greeted female profusion, personalism, and ambition literally for millennia. A script that consists of the rote shaming of making the personal public, calls for the artist to look outside herself for subject matter, charges of her vulnerability being faux or deployed as a manipulative marketing tool. Ton clucks about self-indulgence and being in need of an editor. 10 years ago, analysis like this seemed to be everywhere. A new generation of young women writers chafed at the persistent sexism in the literary world. An organization called VIDA, Women in Literary Arts, published annual tallies of how many books by women were reviewed in the New York Times Book Review and other publications. A Facebook group called Binders full of women writers formed to help its members network and discuss workplace biases. Essays like Claire V. Watkins, On Pandering, both an account of the author's encounters with dismissive literary men and a confession of her own complicity in trying to impress them, appeared in journals and were fervently discussed online. Most, though not all, of these denunciations of the literary world's sexism were the work of white women, and it was only a matter of time before the rhetorical heat would move on to matters of race and the overwhelming whiteness of book publishing. Binders descended into the infighting and moral onuitmanship that plagues so many online communities, and VIDA's website is now MIA. But in the pages of The Slicks, it's still 2015, and Taylor Swift, Nelson insists, needs defending. I'll confess that I don't follow pop music, and until recently couldn't have recognized one of Swift's songs if I came across it on the radio. Swift means nothing to me personally, one way or the other. But because I have no dog in this fight, I believe I have a pretty good sense of the ambient attitude towards Swift, which strikes me as overwhelmingly positive, considering the height of her celebrity. She's incredibly popular, relatively free of toxic controversy, and seems to be in control of her artistic and professional life. Of course, Swift has her naysayers, but none mighty enough to derail one of the biggest recording artists of all time.